The number to call in is 458-TALK, 458-8255. Love to have you on the show here with us today at Patriots Lament. Welcome back to the show. In the studio with us here, of course, I'm Steve Floyd, the man who runs, the monkey who runs the board. Opposite me there, slightly to my right, is Dave Giesel, the anarcho-capitalist and member of the Campaign for Liberty here in Fairbanks. And then to his right, my left, we've got Josh Bennett from Bighorn Enterprises. Gentlemen, welcome back to the show. Where do we go from here?
We got a caller.
We could do that. 458-TALK is the number. Good morning. Who's this?
Good morning, Frank Kearney here.
Hey, Frank.
Hey, I really appreciate your guest. Myself, I've always had a libertarian spirit. I have to. The Bennett brothers, Josh and Aaron, and David Giesel, and Steve yourself have made me really see the light more and more today that liberty means freedom from government. And as everybody knows, that the occupation together, university students will be demonstrating here. They'll be meeting at 11:30 at Sadler's. Myself, I will be down there at 11 o'clock with some Ron Paul signs and flowers, and Ron Paul's flyers and the feds. And the Ron Paul group will be marching to a different tune, and we will be separated. I've already talked to the other people in occupation together, and that's fine. And so I would just hope some folks can come out there today and join us.
All right, Frank, thank you.
Yeah, we have on the Patriots Lament site, patriotslament.blogspot.com, we have a video up there of a kid who was at the New York protest, and he was holding a sign about being against crony capitalism and ending the Fed. And it was great because even though he was in this, Occupy Wall Street group, he stuck out. Like people went and interviewed him, and he got on national TV, and he was capitalism. I'm all for capitalism. I'm against crony capitalism. And he was able to educate the people at the movement.
Amen. And last night, what's that guy named Peter, something the talk show host goes, he had Sean Penn on there, and I like Sean Penn as an actor, but wow, what a socialist. He talked about the group in New York. He talked about socialism versus capitalism, and he said and we need more socialism. So, wow, that was pretty heavy listening to him.
Apparently Sean Penn was not alive in 1991 when the Soviet Union collapsed.
Right, exactly. So I hope people show up out there today. It's a beautiful day out. Okay, enjoy the show.
Thank you very much, Frank. Appreciate the phone call. I just saw, you can Google this and see it for yourself. As part of the Occupy Wall Street movement, there's somebody out in Bethel who went out and took a picture of herself and posted it on Facebook, Occupy the Tundra. She's standing out there in the middle of nowhere with a sign, Occupy the Tundra, and that's it. All right, 458-TALK is the number. Go back to the phones. Good morning, caller. Who's this?
Hey, this is Sean.
Hey, Sean. Thanks for calling in. What's on your mind today?
Well, I'm kind of curious from Aaron's standpoint of view. I mean, I know there's a small group of people that are preparing for whatever may come. Is there something that we can do to be a little more unified? I mean, is there...
Wait, whose point of view did you want?
Aaron's. I mean,
Aaron isn't here today. You could get Josh, Dave, or myself.
Oh, okay. Well,
our points of view are much less exciting.
A little bit. I know we're all kind of like-minded. We've got a little bit of food put away, and we're preparing for something. So, I mean, whatever it may be, national disaster, natural disaster, common sense disaster. I mean, whatever it may come, we're all kind of preparing for something. You can kind of feel it in the air. I'm curious.
Right.
Is there weekly meetings at Denny's that I'm missing or something? I mean,
those didn't turn out too well, actually.
Yeah, I know. I can imagine. But I mean, we each have ideas. We each have, you run into a friend that's doing the same thing. You go to his house. You go, oh, well, hell, I never thought of that. Why didn't I think of that?
Right, and even just knowing the people who you'd want to know.
Yeah. The thing is, right. Getting together with people that are like-minded.
Yeah.
So we're.
Yeah, there's a little bit of that. We have a meetup group. It's the Campaign for Liberty meetup group. It spun out of the Ron Paul thing, and we meet once every 2 weeks to talk about books on history and economics. But really, as one of the more valuable things from those meetings is you meet people who are very interested in educating themselves and preparing for this, and people who are going out of their way to study this stuff. So that's a good place. If you want to come to those meetings, I go to all of them. And there's Josh has been coming, and there's a bunch of other people who come. And then there's also I mean, there's a couple Facebook sites out there, and we have our blog. We're hoping to get more people commenting and stuff there, just as a way to meet other people.
I just bought a foreclosed house. So I haven't touched a computer in about 3 months.
Hey, let me ask you a quick question here. Do you know who your next door neighbors are?
Yes, and I'm not really impressed.
Well, you know what, that is a great way of going, though, too. I mean, besides connecting with people like Davis saying, people of like mind, is to connect with your next door neighbors and get to know who they are. And
that's my problem, is all of my neighbors are going to come to my house when something goes wrong.
Well, that's something that actually will happen.
I'm surrounded by grasshoppers.
Yeah, but I think to get through when this financial collapse happens, to get through it, really, you have to be somewhat prepared for your neighbor needing help. Mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, not that there's nothing wrong with them preparing for themselves, but we have to just realize not everyone's going to be prepared, and I think it's behooves you, me, everyone who is prepared to prepare also a little bit, somewhat, anything.
And who knows, you might, with your conversations with your neighbor, you might be able to convert them to becoming an ant from being a grasshopper. I mean, it may not, and it's not going to happen overnight, and it's not going to happen with one conversation. But you can plant little seeds, like, ask them a question. Hey, have you ever thought what might happen if the government collapses and we don't, and our money is worthless?
Well, there is going to come a time, too, when everyone is going to be a believer. I mean, doubt is going to disappear when the dollar collapses. You're not going to wonder about it anymore. You're just going to, all of a sudden,
one thing
you won't have to convince anyone.
Though, is this push for gold. I mean, society has collapsed in the past. I mean, it's happened. The Roman Empire, I mean, many, Mayan civilization, there's many collapses of civilizations financially in the past. I have yet to find any one certain instance at all where gold has all of a sudden become of great value. Normally, another society is created and another coinage or form of money is become evolved.
Yeah, so
never in any point in history has gold been used. So why do people find so much security in, well, I've got gold stocked up? Okay,
see,
if you come to my house and I got food, you got gold, you're not getting food.
Different usage, right? Different usage. So if you have $1 million or, whatever, right, and you want to save it, like Steve was saying, if you have $1 million worth of liquor, vodka sitting in your house, it's not practical. So gold has stable imputed value, like through history. Even now, when we have all this paper funny money that Jeff talked about, gold still has high value. And so it's unlikely in a collapse scenario that people would actually barter with gold. Mm-hmm. It's more likely they would barter with stuff that they need. But if you have
large amounts of money.
If you have a lot of money, or if you're trying to liquidate assets, if you want to just liquidate and live,
get out of the system
in a lightweight, have your suitcase ready to go and have some stuff to trade. It's a lot easier to take your wealth with you if it's in gold than if it's in cigarettes or something like that. But yeah, I mean, if you're going to stick it out, if you're happy where you are, by all means, make sure you have food and clean water and a generator
and guns
and stuff like that. Yeah, and either guns or a strong relationship with your neighbors where you don't need that.
Who have guns.
Well, that's another issue we have, is that whenever something does happen, no matter what it might be, it's not going to be whatever natural disaster event that takes us down. It'll be ourselves. I mean, like, for example, on the Y2K, when the Y2K thing happened, nothing really actually happened, but food was a little bit hard to come by. The stores were pretty empty. The fuel stations were kind of running low, and then there was this mass panic, and everybody just sucked everything dry, this greed. Instead of being prepared for it early on, this greed just sucked everything dry, and we did it to ourselves. That's my main concern with this, 2012, whatever may happen.
Yeah.
I think humanity will be just fine, except for our own stupidity and lack of common sense.
Well, that's the story of human history is the story of human stupidity, right? But that's another thing, the more of us, I can't control what my neighbors do, unless I vote or I'm on the borough or I'm a cop and can point a gun at them. But I can't control what they do. I can only control what I do. And so if I have an idea of what's coming up and I have, fears about food and money in the banking system and power and these kinds of things, there's stuff I can do to take care of myself. And to the extent that people do that, it will be better. If I take care of myself, that will be one less person out there who is
Josh has to take care of.
Right, who Josh has to take care of.
When and where are these meetings?
Or take out?
We meet every Friday or every other Friday at Natalie Howard's place to discuss. We're reading 2 books right now, and so if you go to the Fairbanks Campaign for Liberty meetup site, there's the times and dates and everything. You said you didn't have internet access. If you're in town,
go to the library.
Yeah, go to the library and check it out. Just look up the Fairbanks Campaign for Liberty, and our meetups are every 2 weeks. Actually, this coming Friday we have one, and we're talking about we're reading a book, Reassessing the Presidency. So, but even if you haven't read the book, that's fine. Everybody's welcome. Come and discuss. And
this is where that whole dangerous thing starts coming in. You're actually advocating for people to read books and have their own point of view, which is something which flies in the face of our media. It flies in the face of our education system. It flies in the face of everything our political system is about. Thanks for the call. 458-TALK is the number. Good morning. Welcome to Patriots Lament. Who's this?
Hi, this is Randy.
Good morning, Randy. What's on your mind today?
Well, when I hear about natural collapse and how the nation's going to collapse, it kind of reminds me of the analogy of an aging forest, where some of the old trees are kind of beetle-infested, and sometimes the thought is, a good thought sometimes, is to, just let the forest fire burn it all down, and then when that happens, you get the new green shoots and produces moose habitat, food, and everything, and things are, renews and regenerates. That's one way things could go. However, in the political sense, I think that analogy may not necessarily occur. Instead of the new green shoots, you may have thorns growing and dragons and Gila monsters taking over. In other words, you may have dictatorship rising and martial law, Hitler, that kind of thing rising out of the ashes. So you don't know.
Randy, can you historically point out to any time that a dictatorship has risen out of anarchy?
Well, in Russia in 1917, when they kicked out the Tsar, you had kind of an anarchical situation, and then you had many generations of horrible, oppressive dictatorship, and then, of course, in the Weimar Republic, you had Hitler rise up.
These were all political coups, actually. Yep. Like Hitler achieved power not through advocating voluntary action and dissolving of state power. He advocated consolidating state power. He said the reason we had this collapse of the currency is because the Germans did not have enough state power.
And Russia was not in a state of anarchy when Vladimir Lenin took over. He led a revolution which overthrew the Tsar and replaced one dictator with another.
Right. Yeah, it wasn't about devolving power or peaceful voluntary cooperation. It was about consolidating power. Those were all inherently political movements. Much like Occupy Wall Street, it's a political movement to secure more government power. It's not a devolution of government power towards a less oppressive state.